Welcome to Dropping In, a podcast of storytelling and interviews with your host, Winter Olympian Mercedes Nichol.
Thank you so much for dropping in today. This is Series 7, where I am talking with Team Canada athletes that have gone to the Paralympics. They have amazing stories to share, and I can't wait to share them with you. This is episode 65. Now, let me introduce the guest that we will be dropping in with today. This guest started skiing at the age of 4. At the age of 10, he was declared legally blind due to Stargardt disease, a rare genetic eye disease that happens when fatty material builds up on the macula. At 13 years old, he entered his first para-alpine race and is now one of Canada's most decorated para-athletes, as well as the world's first blind free skier. Honestly, he's going down things on Whistler Blackcomb that might frighten you. He is a 3-time Paralympian, and I want to showcase his achievements. A world champion, a world alpine skiing para champion in not only downhill, but Super G Slalom and Giant Slalom. He's gone to 3 Paralympics, as I said, in 2014 at the Sochi Games. He came home with bronze in downhill and Super G and gold in Giant Slalom with guide Robin Femi. In 2018 at Pyeongchang, he was 4th in slalom, bronze in giant slalom, gold in the downhill with ski guide Jack Leach. In 2022 at the Beijing Games, he took silver in the downhill. This son, brother, world champion, Paralympic champion, blind free skier doesn't seem to be scared of going fast. Let me introduce Mac Marcoux. Mac, how are you today?
I'm good, Mercedes. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on. Is it weird to hear all those things that you've achieved?
Yeah, it is a little bit weird. Hearing it out loud is something when you don't really reflect on very often. So
Right.
it's cool to hear, though.
You've done a lot. You've done a lot. It's amazing. Are you ready to drop in?
I'm ready.
I feel like you're always ready to drop in. It's awesome. Okay, we start with our rapid fire questions that are never rapid, but the guests get to know you. The listeners and the viewers get to know you a little bit more. Number 1, do you have a lucky charm?
I don't have a lucky charm, actually.
Nothing.
Every now and then I keep, like, my grandfather used to give me like a lucky penny before I used to leave for World Cups, and that was about as close to a lucky charm as I'd get.
That's a pretty good one. Are you superstitious at all? This is just...
No, not really. I think we've all gone through like little cycles of superstition.
Yeah.
You like find yourself like coming out of a slump training or whatever, and you're trying to like totally mimic the exact same day over and over again. But
okay, I'm so glad I'm not alone in that. I'm like, ooh, I wore these socks. Something worked that time.
Yeah, something worked exactly. So you try to do the same thing over and over and realize at some point I'm like, I think it's just the way it goes.
Yeah, totally. Number 2, what is the favorite place that you've traveled to for skiing and then also for pleasure?
Oh, okay. I think like overall my favorite place is still BC. Yeah, I spent a ton of time out here, and now I've moved out here, so it's it holds a pretty special place in my heart, especially around here, the sea to sky.
Now, it's June 19th, 2022. Where in the world are you right now?
I am in Whistler.
Aw, me too. I love that we're doing this, but we're apart.
No, it's wild.
Is there any like crazy place that you've been skiing that you're like, nah, nothing really adds up to Whistler, Blackcomb, or BC?
There's definitely, I think everywhere has like, can be the most amazing place ever if the snow's right and you wake up, and like I'm a big sucker for sunrises. We're always on the snow really early, so
Yeah.
I think like Pano has a pretty incredible sunrise.
Panorama.
Yeah.
You guys train out there a lot, don't you?
We do. Yeah, we spend a ton of time in the preseason out there. It's kind of the first place we can get training in Canada. So we kind of pack up and head there for November after we come back from South America.
Wicked. And then if you're just like cruising, want to go on a vacay, is there anywhere you would go?
Yeah, usually vacays involve free skiing and snowmobiling, so that can be.
So BC is your spot.
That's it. I spent a ton of time in Revy for
Wicked.
more inside, but
That's awesome.
But yeah, no, I went on my first warm vacation this like literally just after the games. I went down to Florida for a couple weeks, and
Okay.
it was pretty cool, but I don't know. I don't know if it's for me.
Fair. You're a winter guy through and through, it seems.
That's it.
Nice. Okay. Number 3, are you big city or small town kinda guy?
Very much small town. Um, the
Yes.
farther out in out in the boonies I can get, the better.
Awesome. Okay, number 4, if you are in the gym having a session, working really hard, lifting heavy weights or something like that, are you more of a, "I wanna listen to my breath and my grunts," or do you want to have headphones in?
I never wear headphones just because I don't know why my ears get sweaty and it feels weird. But no, I like music. I prefer to have some music playing. It gets quiet. It's not a I get alone with my thoughts.
True. Number 5, do you have a favorite race that you've been in?
Yeah, I do. I think I always kind of go back to the downhill in Sochi was I think like my first real real introduction into speed. And I was a young
Okay.
kid. It was a heck of a lot of fun, and I think it kind of set the tone for where I wanted to kind of focus my energy and time on for the last now what is it, 10 years or 11 years.
It takes a lot of life when you go to so many Paralympics and Olympics.
Yeah, very much so.
That's awesome. Okay, downhill in Sochi, rad. Number 6, what puts a bigger smile on your face? Skiing or snowmobiling? You said you did snowmobiling, right?
Yeah, snowmobiling, I'd say it's the one thing I do that kind of gets away all the pressure. I think anytime I'm in the backcountry, for the most part, I'm beyond stoked.
Okay,
Whether
when you're snowmobiling, are you following someone?
no,
Okay,
just
how do you go about that?
picking good days with good light,
Okay.
and just being smart with terrain, and then I prefer, like, if it's sunny out, I can see a little bit better in the alpine. I guess like everyone can, but
Okay.
having some sort of definition is really nice. So
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
days where we go out and build jumps and hang out, and then if it's kind of crappy out, we'll just go find little stuff to jump off in the trees.
Of course you would. Oh my gosh, I respect you so much. It's awesome. Number 7, you talked about Panorama, but what in Canada, where would be the best place to train for you?
Yeah, I'd say Panorama. I
Yeah,
had really good days here.
in
And like,
Whistler.
yeah, most recently, actually, just before the games, we had a really great prep camp. But
I know, I saw you right before the games.
yeah, with
That
that
was
trip.
so rad bumping into you. I was like, "Oh my gosh, I love that you're training here. That's so cool."
Yeah, it was sick. But like we tend to, yeah, I think for the most part, training kind of Panorama, Kimberly every now and then.
Okay.
It's pretty hard to get a full length speed track in Canada
Yeah.
and not close down the whole mountain. So it's
I know
yeah.
we don't always love you guys when you're training because some of the runs that you go on, we're like, "Man, I wish they were open."
Oh, I get it. I do the same thing. I'm
It's all good. Too funny. Okay, number 8, if you're not training, where can we find you and what the heck would you be doing?
Oh, if I'm not training, yeah, probably in the wintertime riding my sled, and in the summertime, if I'm in BC, I'm on my bike and or rehabbing. And
Oh,
if
man.
I'm at home, I'm usually somewhere on a four-wheeler, dirt bike, side by side, boat, somewhere in the bush.
Okay, cool. Number 9, how and if this happened, did the pandemic change your training?
The pandemic definitely had a pretty big impact, I think, on everybody, but it was very convenient timing right off the bat. I had
Mhm.
I had some injury stuff I needed to work on anyway,
Okay.
so I was pretty much on the rehab grind throughout the whole pandemic. But it
And were
was
you allowed in the gym?
yeah, we were allowed
Yeah,
in the gym. At first off, the gym was closed for a couple months,
yeah.
so I trained back home until things opened up and restrictions kind of eased off a little bit in BC before Ontario. So I came back out here
Wicked.
and yeah, basically spent spent that whole 2 year cycle in the gym trying to figure out how to get healthy.
I mean, it worked. I would say.
We're doing it. Yeah. It was short-lived. I blew my knee in China on the second day, so we're back on the rehab grind. But it's all part of the fun.
Injuries. We just keep coming back for more, though, don't we?
Every time.
Number 10, you have a documentary out there called Blind Faith. I just want to touch on, how was filming that?
Filming that was a blast. It was
Yeah.
definitely a little bit out of our element as ski racers, especially on the para side. We don't do much of anything. So like even just seeing the film side of things and actually what goes into making and producing a project like that was pretty cool. And
Yes.
it was pretty sick to see kind of like all of the little movie moments that happen that when we're shooting stuff and doing a lot of one-turn shots and stuff like that. You don't realize how much goes into like making one shot come together.
I'm glad you got to experience it, because a lot of the listeners and viewers will have no idea how much goes into like one photo. And then if you're doing film, you're just like, yeah, that one shot took pretty much half a day, if not more. And people are like, what? No, that just happens. So you've experienced that now.
Yeah, it's insane, standing on top of something for 45 minutes, an hour, waiting for light, and then light doesn't come. We go away for a bit and come back, wait for light. But it was cool. It opened up my mind to a lot of cool opportunities hopefully coming in the future. I think we have some more film projects coming down the pipe. So
more free skiing for you down the line.
That's it.
So wild. I mean, I don't even think I've gone down the coffin. Like maybe I did when I was like a tiny human, but I watched your video and I was like, I don't think I've done that in like forever, if I've ever done it. So like you're doing lines that most people would never do, which is like so respectful.
We're trying.
Now, if you haven't seen Blind Faith, you can find that on YouTube, which I highly recommend watching. It's super cool. That was the rapid fire. Not too difficult, was it?
No, not bad at all.
Now I want to talk about your Paralympics. You are a 3-time Paralympian, starting off in Sochi 2014. What was going on before Sochi? Like, had you dreamed of going to the Paralympics since you lost your sight?
Yeah, sort of. Like my vision started to deteriorate, and I grew up in a pretty motorsport-oriented family, so we were like racing go-karts and snowmobiles and playing a lot outside. And when my vision started kind of taking a turn, my family looked into sports that were available for visually impaired athletes, just to like kind of get us involved with something and at least see if it was, sport was something I wanted to pursue. We had a lot of really good feedback from other athletes that we'd reached out to, and they all said to get involved with sports. So we started skiing. I started ski racing basically right away. This would be back in 2005. And yeah, within a couple of weeks, we fell in love with the sport. Like as little kids burning around, it's a blast, and make a ton of friends. And pretty shortly after that, we kind of set our sights on a pretty ambitious goal to try and make it to Sochi. I think it was.
And that's you and your brother, because you were following your brother, right?
Yeah, exactly. So it's my brother. My brother stepped in as my guide in 2011. So I raced able-bodied for, I guess, 5 years around Northern Ontario, just kind of learning and developing skills in ski racing and figuring out how to turn right and left and go fast. And eventually,
at that time, was your vision? Did your vision just like fully go? And I know you explain it as having like your two fists in front of your eyes.
Yeah, exactly. So basically it's degenerative. So it's slowly getting worse kind of consistently. So from when I was 8 to, I guess, I don't even know, I would have been 13, 12 when it started to really, really pick up a little bit of steam. And it like that little bit of time is when it deteriorated enough that I started skiing with a guide in 2011.
Okay.
And that was just like convenient timing. It was right when I was old enough to start competing on the like IPC side of things. And
you're just like, I'm going to follow my brother wherever he goes. Is that what
that's
like a serious trust, man?
It was a lot of fun. We definitely had a time traveling around together, and Unfortunately, BJ got hurt about a week out of Sochi. He had a couple herniated discs in his back, and he was battling with that for a long time. And unfortunately, things let go just too close to the games for him to be able to come there as my guide. So we called in a backup guide. And
okay, where do you just get a backup guide? Thanks, Robin. What's up? Like, what?
It was pretty incredible. My I guess my predecessor, Chris Williamson, was kind of the OG blind guy for Canada. He's basically wrote the book on visually impaired ski racing, and Rob was his guide at the time. So Chris actually called in his backup guide that he had skied with in 2010 and had trained with on and off, and had basically lent me Rob for the games, because Rob and I had skied together a little bit before. So it was a pretty cool move on his part. And just it kind of worked out. We were we were pretty hesitant. I wanted to try, and me and BJ wanted to try and ski together. But like, the reality is that it's not worth wrecking himself for his life for one race. So
I mean, heartbreaking for him for sure, but like, what a great community to be able to get Robin on your side a week before going to a Paralympic Games, your first Paralympic Games.
Yeah, it was pretty incredible. And like, I, can never say enough good things about the Canadian Paralpine team. We're a pretty cool ship running around over here. So it's a pretty great group of humans. And everyone,
you are. I love seeing you guys. Like, so I know you from being in the gym, and you guys have like such a good camaraderie throughout the team. And I'm not sure that everyone gets to see that when they watch the Paralympics. It's such a quick jolt. So I love the inside scoop here about how cool the community is, and that's like mind blowing that he just came in a week after. And how many games would he have been at before?
He wouldn't have been to games either. We was both of our
oh my gosh!
So it was entertaining for sure. But he was the perfect guy to step in. He was a little bit older than I was, a lot more. He was a lot of fun. we had a heck of a lot of fun over the years, like, outside of the training environment. And he was the perfect guy to step in and kind of keep your mind in the right place, especially with like all the turmoil happening just before the games. Mentally, it was a pretty big shock, and I was still super young. I think I was 16, so just trying to figure out what was going on.
Tiny human. I don't have my brother with me anymore. What now?
Yeah, exactly. It kept things pretty light, and it was pretty incredible being able to leave there with actually healthy, like, let alone with a couple medals.
A bronze in downhill and Super G, and then a gold in giant slalom.
Yeah.
Yeah, no big deal. Just 16 years old.
It was definitely far beyond our expectations, but
it's so awesome. So when you were obviously those games were in Russia, and I was there just a couple weeks before you, but I had a pretty bad crash at those games. Right. Did you was the snow conditions, were they good for you, or was it just sugar snow for you as well?
It was very interesting.
Oh, that's such a diplomatic way to say it. I would say it was crap for us, but I'm allowed to say that because I ate crap.
Yeah, it definitely ate up a lot of people. I think like we got there, and it was actually really good for our first couple training runs. And then by the time it was race day, it was like, it had to be 17, 18 degrees at the start. And it was like, first couple humans was great. Everyone skiing well and like not really breaking through the surface yet. And by the time it was middle of the field, the track was getting really beat up, and it was
breaking through to that like slush, like
just bottomless slush.
You might as well be at a beach.
Literally, yeah. It's like spring skiing in Whistler. It's not ideal for trying to go fast and make turns.
And so even for your guys' para, you still want those icy conditions. That's why you're going training early in the morning, and all of that. It's very similar, right?
Yeah, exactly. We're chasing kind of the hardest snow we can get. Injecting every track, and just trying to make sure it's hard. And it sounds kind of backwards, but it has the most grip. when your skis are sharp and in a good spot. It's also just the fastest. So
rad.
Get that glazed snow.
Okay, so moving on from Sochi, you competed in Pyeongchang in Korea, and I was talking with someone earlier, and we, for the Olympics, had this freaking Arctic polar front. I don't know, they keep changing the name of what the weather patterns are, but freaking cold. It was cold. And then, like, a month later, you guys were like, "Oh, it's, like, tropical here."
Oh yeah,
How
it
were
was
those
hot.
games?
It was the same weather pattern. It was like 20 degrees and sunny. It was not good for ski racing, but
Right? You can't
the
win.
first couple of days it was all right. Even like downhill day, it was pretty great. And then by the time the games were winding down, I'd crashed a couple times in between the gold and the bronze, and I had it was just taking a downward spiral throughout the games. The snow was getting worse, and body was getting pretty beat up. So it was a blast still, but the snow definitely did not hold up the length of the games. We were starting to get pretty concerned that we weren't going to get all the events off.
Oh my gosh. Classic. Two hot Olympics back to back. I have a question about slalom. I haven't watched you do slalom before, and so for our viewers and listeners, do you have a guide going down the course in front of you for slalom? Are the gates, like, further apart, or are they the same as, like, a normal?
No, they're about the same.
Okay, so are you just getting flicked in the face? What's happening?
Guides are pretty sick slalom skiers.
Okay.
They're pretty cool. Like, they have to change everything. They can't stand tall, so they end up standing pretty low and kind of ducking between the gates, trying not to hit them. But they do end up hitting quite a few gates, and it's just kind of like, hold on and hope for the best. Try and keep your teeth.
And you have a headset with you. I also want to know what you guys are saying to each other.
There's it's
pretty. Is it a code? Is it a code that we wouldn't understand?
Some of it is. We definitely have like lots of key terms that we talk about.
Okay.
But
you don't have to spill all the beans if it's top secret.
No, not at all. It's like for me, I'm kind of we can still see enough that I don't need anyone calling left and right and telling me when the turn needs to switch. It's just more so calling train changes and stuff like that, different combinations in the course, especially in slalom. You have a bunch of different combos that you have to worry about. So just kind of giving me the information I need, because I can't really see more than a gate or two ahead. So they're just, filling in that dark space a little bit, along with everything that happens like non-verbally is almost more important, being able to watch what's happening with their feet. And I can see kind of all the micro train and watch their boots chatter, and I can kind of anticipate as much as I can. But it's always a work in progress, and we're always just trying to figure out the best way to make it work.
Right? I don't know. I was talking about standing up at the top of the half pipe, and like how every time I didn't have a same repertoire, and I'm like, should I have? I don't know. I don't think anyone else did. It is a learning process for everyone every time that you go down, I think.
Yeah, I think like if you do everything too much the same, you start to become predictable, and you don't want that.
Nothing's predictable.
So we try and set like a pretty solid race day routine, and try and keep all our ducks in a row when it comes to equipment and everything like that, so that when we're kind of coming out of an inspection, we're as dialed as we can be. All we have to do is focus on visualizing and then jump in the track and hold on and hope for the best.
So would you do a pre-course like review of like where all the gates are and side slip down and everything?
Yeah, exactly. We'll slide down ahead of time, check out where everything is, take as much information as we can. Slalom is not as important it's more so just knowing where the combinations are. Because you're not going as fast. I don't ski slalom anymore. I got rid of that. My body can't find disciplines anymore.
It's so many. You must be exhausted at the games.
It's ridiculous, and I think now I've kind of earned my place in the speed track, and kind of just throw in every GS every now and then for moral support. But in speed, it's more so just paying attention to all the little things, where the snow can change, little holes that can cause a lot of issues when you're clipping, and just trying to get a really good view of all the blind gates kind of ahead of time. And then we just go through it over and over again until we get to kick out at the start.
Nice. I had Tyler Turner on, who's a new to the para world, and he was just saying how he doesn't do inspection because his stumps get really sore, and that's like new to him. So it's
That's
interesting to know what everyone does.
Yeah, Ty's pretty rad.
So cool. Oh my gosh. It's just like, you're amazing. Pyeongchang 2018 was the last Olympics without a pandemic in the venue.
Right.
Tell us a little bit about what it's like to be on Team Canada at those games, pre-pandemic and then during the pandemic. Like pre-pandemic, I'm assuming it's similar to Olympics, where you guys all kind of get to hang out as Team Canada and get to know other sports. But do correct me if I'm wrong.
No, you're right for sure. I think in both like Sochi and Pyeongchang,
Yeah.
like the camaraderie's there. With the alpine events, we end up getting put in a pretty separate village than like everyone else because we're always up in the mountains somewhere. In Sochi and Pyeongchang, at least we were with the snowboard boys, which was pretty great. Or boys and girls, sorry. And we were always with the snowboard crew, so it was pretty cool just being able to. It changes things up from being like a normal World Cup that we have, our normal competitors are always around, but just having a little more camaraderie that way is a lot of fun. And just
I love that.
That's with the national that comes with like CPC and kind of, I don't know, we were doing so much fun stuff after races and the days off, like trying to play pool and just like have a time, really get to know everybody. You don't really get that much time to actually hang out on a regular World Cup circuit. So it's it was pretty cool.
There's always like this for people that have never been to the Olympics, inside the village, there's always this kind of like international game zone, but also Team Canada does such a great job of like keeping Team Canada athletes together, kind of, I think.
Like we had the like the international game zone, and then like the lounge at the Canada, I guess our building in the athlete village is always tended to be really amazing. You go in there,
I know.
Video games and just like Jenga and a bunch of other stuff. You can just go hang out with everyone and even just get to know the CPC staff and how they got to helping us out at the games and making it all work. And
so much behind the scenes. Did you also get to like watch all the other sports with the other athletes?
Not as much. Like with us, we're pretty busy throughout the whole game. So we have like 3 training run days, a downhill day, and then we have 4 more events after downhill. So it runs pretty much through the whole games. So
having 5 events where I only had 1 that took like one run is 30 seconds. Yours is very different than mine.
It's almost like a double-edged sword. You have to like think about things like managing energy throughout a 10, 12 days, stuff like that. And then you also have another opportunity if things do go wrong. You have another different race, but you have another chance to try and step on top of the box. So it's
kind of on to the next. Moving on.
Yeah, exactly. Kind of like wipe your hands clean to that day, whether you won or you packed her into the fence and plan on the next day.
Have you done that? Have you gone into the fence before?
Oh, I've spent a lot of time in the V-net.
Oh, God.
I think everyone that ski races has been out there a little bit. I'm pretty lucky. Actually, I say a lot of time, but I really haven't spent a ton of time in the fence. I always try and make my way out of it before. But if you crash in the right spot, you only have about a half a second before you hit the fence. So it's pretty.
I mean, you're going so fast. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's quick, especially in Beijing. It was a pretty burly track to step back into. I'd been hurt.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Like downhill, no one had been on that course before, right?
Yeah, no one had seen the track. The able-bodied crew had, like, I guess the ski cross had a test event, but for the alpine side, we never had anything.
Yeah.
So just kind of everyone, it was at least an even playing field. Everyone go in trying to take as much information as they can, trying to learn how the snow feels. It was pretty different.
Oh man, because it was all man-made snow, right?
Yeah, it was all man-made, and like we're pretty used to, like, for the most part, man-made snow, and it was just so slick. It was the most glazed surface I've ever raced on, just from top to bottom. Normally, you have a couple like gates that are pretty polished, but it was like top to bottom.
What do you mean slick and polished? What does that mean?
Like,
I'm not used. I don't want to be on ice. Most people don't want to be on ice.
Mercedes, I swear to God, it looked like the glass on your patio door.
No.
It was just that the whole track. It was, but a little bit rougher. So you were.
Wow.
It was pretty loose. You know, you had to commit to the turn right from the top to the bottom. There was no feather in the top of the turn, and being a little apprehensive, you had to kind of fully commit the whole track, which was.
My jaw is dropped because the way you just described it sounds absolutely terrifying.
Yeah, it was loose. Like they were hauling a lot of volunteers out of the fence. You know, people slip in the track. As soon as you end up on your back, you just slide until you hit something.
Oh, but Jesus.
So it was cool. It was definitely, for me, I hadn't raced downhill since Pyeongchang, because I'd sustained some pretty fun back injuries over the last 4 years. So I've herniated discs in my back that were just being pretty pesky, and then I had knee surgery in there at some point, and just spent a lot of time in physio and in the gym trying to get healthy. So
I mean, you're in the right place. Whistler is the best.
Oh, it's
to
amazing.
Recover. It's so good.
It's the best.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I was just gonna ask you that. Like injuries, and you keep coming back, and when I had my injuries and my big crash, everyone's like, "What are you doing? Like, why do you think you're going back?" And I was like, "I'm just like, I have to. It's what I love. It's what I do." And so 3 Paralympics behind you, another injury right now. How are you feeling? Do you still have that light and that fire?
I do, for sure. I have, like, I'll forever have the love for this sport. It's it's a pretty unique and incredible environment to be in. But I'm at the point now where, you know, I'm starting to step back a little bit and kind of see what's going on kind of outside of ski racing. So I'm definitely still racing, at least for the next couple of years, or I guess I'll be off snow next season for the most part. By the time I'm back on snow, it'll be mid-January, and hopefully be able to spend a bunch of time in the backcountry and just kind of reset in the mind, and
so
see how
good for the soul.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, like I said, hopefully have a couple film projects coming up throughout the winter, both between like skiing and snowmobiling. So kind of just focus on that stuff that we had to put off for a couple of years while we're training and rehabbing and stuff like that. So it'll be cool to kind of refocus the energy in that direction, and then kind of come back, reevaluate, I guess which road we're taking from here on out. But I think
you can do both. I'm just throwing that one out there.
Yeah, that's the thing.
I think if anyone can do it, you can.
That's the goal. We'll try and find a good way to balance it, and see if it sticks. But
one day, do you take it one day at a time? After 2010, my second games, I was like, do I still love this? I'll take it one contest at a time and see if I still love it. And then I ended up going to 2 more. So you never know what's gonna happen. Honestly, just take it one day at a time.
Yeah, exactly. We're winging it. It'll be I guess one day I'm gonna know whether it's still something I want to do or not. And I haven't had the day that I'm fully, you know, cleaning my hands of it. So we're still here. We're doing it. Got to get back healthy and then throw on some long skis and try and have some fun, I guess.
I can't wait. I want to be around for that. Like, I want to be there when you're filming it. I want to see this happen. Blind Faith is a documentary that I highly recommend. Mac, where can people find you online if they want to see what you're up to next?
Your best spot's probably my Instagram. It's just Mac Marcoux with no spaces. other than that, I'm not really good at the marketing stuff. So I got to step my game up a little bit. Instagram's kind of my only outlet right now, but
You'll just have documentaries coming out left, right, and center, so don't worry about it.
that's the plan. Hopefully we can make a splash and jump off some stuff and show people what we're doing in the backcountry.
So much respect, my friend. Thank you so much for dropping in today.
Hey, no, thanks for having me. It's been good talking to you.
Okay, see you soon. Thanks so much for dropping in today. You can find everything you want to know about Dropping In with Mercedes at droppinginwithmercedes.com. Don't forget to subscribe on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube. Thanks DJ Kenosis for the music and my mom for the intro voice.